Good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is Wednesday, December 18th, and I will note for the record that all three commissioners are here and present in the Nat U. Hill room. We'll begin with our public statement. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC. Our next order of business, department updates. This is time allotted for departments to provide updates to us. If you're on Teams, you may raise your hand. Otherwise, you may come to the podium in the Nat U. Hill room. Please.
Morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Building and Fleet Manager. I wanted to provide you with an update regarding the solar expansion project. Originally, we had planned on adding solar carports at the Showers parking lot and doing some things there, and then we found out there's a bunch of easements underneath and we weren't going to be able to do that. So instead of doing the carports, we're going to move everything up to the roof. We're going to invest the same amount of money, add more panels to the roof of the building, and that's what I wanted to let you all know.
Great. Thank you so much.
Will there still be EV charging stations in
Yes, there will be. I'm working with Smith Design right now to locate an appropriate spot in the lot for those.
Great. And, you know, we knew this was coming, but appreciate the update. There's a lot of utility lines under that parking lot, which, when you showed me the map, was rather surprising. So, did you have any comments or questions? No, I don't. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have someone from the health department? I don't see. There we go. Mike, great. Thank you. Looking online.
Good morning, I'm Mike Kazumka. I'll be giving the updates for the Monroe County Health Department. Statewide, there's been an increase in emergency room visits for flu-like symptoms and COVID symptoms compared to this past November. The health department has free COVID tests available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And also during normal business hours. You can also schedule your COVID-19 vaccine or your flu vaccine at the public health clinic at 333 East Miller Drive by calling 812-353-3244. And also a reminder from the CDC, everyone 6 months and older is recommended to get a COVID vaccine. This includes people who have had COVID in the past, long COVID, and then if you had previously been vaccinated. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Comments
or questions, Commissioner Githens?
Are we seeing any uptick in the virus in the water testing that's being done?
It's normal compared to last month.
Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you. Any other departments have an update to offer?
Morning. It's not really an update. I just came in to thank Commissioner Githens for her service and her collaboration with the Sheriff's Office over the last 2 years. We obviously came into this office eyes wide open and kind of unaware of what we were stepping into in many aspects of that. And the Commissioner's Office and particularly Commissioner helped us maneuver through a lot of that stuff. And we've all had very lively discussions regarding some of those things, but Commissioner, you always remained very principled and tenacious about how you serve this county and how we how we were going to proceed, and that's pretty easy to admire. I don't have a whole lot of experience in this county, so I can only go in the past 2 years, but I felt it noteworthy to come up and at least say thank you and how much we appreciate what we have been able to accomplish over the last 2 years, and that involves the commissioners also.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. I hope that the location that we finally have landed on suits and that serves the community.
I think the location, as it turns out, of everything we looked at, is a very good location, and I know that, good Lord, there's been a lot of time and effort and discussion and deliberation and nail biting and hair pulling, whatever, going into that. But I mean, it's been quite a journey. But it just speaks to exactly what I'm talking about, that nobody involved in that process threw their hands up and walked away. They stayed true to the course, true to the mission, true to the goal. And as a result, we have a location, and we're going to be, we've got the funding. We're going to be starting on that. I don't know when that's even coming, but it is going to be a reality at some point in time, and that's going to serve this county a whole lot better in so many aspects as to where we're sitting right now, and we're all grateful for that.
Well, and I hope also that one of the MOUs that we're going to sign later today with the opioid money will allow us to move forward on the IRACS program, the Integrated Reentry and Community Support Program, because it will allow New Leaf, New Life to create the recovery kind of community organization that's needed for that. And so I hope I've done a warm handoff on that so that it will come into being.
Anyone says that you weren't the point person on IRACS, I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there have been some hiccups for sure.
Absolutely.
But I think it really will benefit people in the community. And I hope one of the things that we heard with this program is that when it's in place, it helps to change sort of the tenor in a facility and make things better for everybody. And I so appreciate the staff that you supervise. They're tremendous. We've seen huge positive changes.
It's funny that you mentioned that very thing, the tenor. If nothing else, that was one of the most primary missions. You have to change the culture before you can change anything, and that's been a large part of that. And all these things that we're doing will continue to build on that, make it grow, so that at some point, we'll be at a place where we would have hoped we would have been 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. But that environment has changed so much, and I think with the things that we have put in place as a collective county government, with everybody with their shoulder to the wheel, I think we're in a much better place to achieve those goals than we were even just a couple of years ago. So, many thanks. Take care.
Thank you. Any other department updates?
Bobby LaRue, Monroe County Building Department. I'm not nearly as eloquent as the sheriff is, but I did also want to say thanks to Penny for just phenomenal support of our department, and could not be more grateful for what you've done and what you've helped us accomplish, and I just wanted to take the time to say thanks as well.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank
So
you,
many
Ms.
people
Wilder.
that work for Monroe County have become friends.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a family,
It
for
is.
sure, for sure. Thank you. All right. I'm going to get teary-eyed. We're going to open the floor for public comment. Public comment is reserved for items that are not on the agenda. We ask each commenter to provide their name and county of residence and limit their commentary to 3 minutes. There will be a countdown clock on the screen. Mr. MG.
See if I can do double work. This is Christopher MG from the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce, and I want to echo some of the comments I had, this being Commissioner Gibbons' last meeting. And one of the pleasures at the Chamber I get to do is work with people that are wonderful public servants, very open and accessible, and Commissioner Gibbons is that person. In politics, there's a sea of cynicism and I'll say Penny's optimism stands out. And hearing that and the work she does and the passion she has for it is very unique. And so this might be a closing of this chapter for Commissioner Gibbons. It's not a closing of her chapter and the work, her tireless work in the community on many things. I look forward to working with her in different aspects and whatever that may be, but I appreciate her service, which compassion, empathy, warmth, ability to listen, all those things that she brought to the commissioner's table that I don't think should go unnoticed. And I want to thank you, Commissioner Gibbons, today for wonderful service on behalf of Monroe County. Thank you.
Thank you.
For your kind words.
Well deserved. Any other public comment? You raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium.
I always have to lower the mic. Hi, my name is Jody Madeira, and I live in Monroe County. I just wanted to also thank Commissioner Gibbons for her tireless service. I've known and respected Commissioner Gibbons for a very long time, and first and foremost in the work of gun violence that I became involved in the community. And thank you for serving as a model. I guess Christopher said it best when he just mentioned warmth and compassion and empathy, but I will also mention a tremendous work ethic. And so thank you for all the years of dedicated service you have given to us in the county, and to those, not only who work in the county, but also who are just involved in very meaningful and impactful social services. And I know that there are many in the gun violence community who would be here today to thank you with me for your leadership in that area. So thank you so very much, and we look forward to see what the future offers.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next agenda item, please.
Move approval of the minutes from December the 11th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, corrections, or edits?
There was one correction that I sent to Ms. Freeman.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes for December 11th, 2024, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Yes, move approval of the claims docket, December 18th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Woodruff.
The accounts payable claims docket for December 18th, 2024 totals $6,775,930.53. This includes all emergency claims and adjustments.
All right. Thank you so much. Any comments or questions? It's just the ones in the yellow on that. These are just the new ones. This starts the
Yellow are the new ones.
yeah, these are the new ones.
There's two separate things here. There's emergency and regular.
Give us a moment, please.
Just for the audience, there were some updates that were just seen, so. The other Sophia Travis
I
grant.
know, that's
Claims on here.
exciting. That's exciting. Big set of claims because settlement occurred as well. And I will note the council did approve funding Bloomington Economic Development Corporation, the amount of $30. That was at last night's meeting. But the remainder, the other questions or comments? Sorry for the dull moment of quiet on on the dais, but we do look these over carefully. Comments, questions? Comments, questions? Okay. Thank you. Any public comment on this item? You may raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Net U Hill.
Good morning again, Commissioners. This is Christopher from the Chamber of Commerce, and just want to voice my support just for the work that BEDC does for economic development in this community. I've been privy with the public comments made before, but the county sort of put its hands with BEDC in doing its economic development. It does not have an economic development partner, and they are great partners with the Chamber in trying to enhance our quality of life in this community, and their willingness to work with us on different levels has been always impressive to me. I just want to voice that support at this time. Thank you for your...
Thank you. Any other public comment? You raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the claims docket for December 18th, 2024, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I will note for the record that we have received a report from the Clerk of the Circuit Court dated November of 2024. And with that, we will move on to new business.
Move approval of Resolution 2024-49, Sheriff Department surplus property.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have Mr. Kreider.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Kreider, Building and Fleet Manager. This request is to accept the declaration of items for surplus, 20 vehicles used by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office that are past service life. The vehicle list, VIN numbers, and inventory numbers are included in Exhibit A. All vehicles, with the exception of S-162, will be used as trade-in towards the 2025 patrol vehicle purchase at John Jones Police Pursuit Vehicle Group. S-162 was recently declared a total loss from an accident on 11/16/2024 and has been released to the insurance company. Monroe County received a settlement from Travelers, claim number F5U0204, in the amount of $12,968.
Thank you so much. Comments or questions? Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Githens?
I appreciated seeing all the pictures in our
Yeah.
packet.
Yeah. As vehicles take a lot of wear and tear. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2024-49 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please.
Move approval of Musco Sports Lighting LLC change order number 1. Fund names, ARPA and Convention Visitors and Tourism. Fund numbers 8950 and 1127 in an amount of $4,500.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Ms. Whitmer, good morning.
Good morning. To accommodate the Wi-Fi project at Cars Farm Park, we need 6 welded boxes on our 6 light poles going in on fields 9 and 11. This is from a bond and CVC. It is not Carly, ARPA money.
So there's a correction that needs to be made on the motion.
Yes, go ahead and,
amend my motion so that it's fund name, a geo bond. I don't know which year. Do you, Ms. Whitmer?
Convention visitor tourism?
I don't have those memorized.
She said it was also from a bond. Ms. Purdy, can you help us?
We know that our.
I think that we had a significant portion of funding for this project in the 2023 GEO.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
I would anticipate that.
You don't need a
If
fund
not,
number.
we will update it at the next meeting.
Okay. I'll amend it to include the 2023 geo bond.
Yeah, that number may not be a bond number.
I accept.
It's not,
the
it's probably the
amendment.
ARPA number and it got cut and pasted.
That's the ARPA number there, 8950. So we,
But either way, it will
It's-
not be ARPA money.
okay, got it, got it. So we have a motion and a second to amend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. That item is now amended. Anything else you wish to add?
Yes, I actually would like to thank the commissioners for supporting the Monroe County Parks and Recreation Department in all our endeavors this last year. And Penny especially, she has showed up to more meetings than, I don't know, some board members. And she has guided us with her, advice in how to go about doing things. So I know the Park Board President, Evelyn Harrell, really appreciates your help and your guidance on that. I also want to mention that Lee Jones, back in the day, used to be on our park board, so she quite understands. And Julie, you've talked to me many times about issues, so we all appreciate what you've done. And while I'm here, I also want to appreciate all the other departments that help us. I mean, on a weekly basis, I can say Lisa, Angie, Jeff, Carly, where are the guys? Kurt and Bobby and Richard and Molly. And
Name them
Dave
all.
and Dean. I think I've talked to them all in the last 2 weeks. So we can't do our job without them. So I just want them to know that we appreciate it so much because it does take a family to do this. And everyone works very hard in county government. And I've been here a long time. And I think it's the best group of people I've ever been associated with. So I wanted to thank Penny especially for helping us and going on park tours and asking very good questions so I can give her very good answers back. So I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see if there's any comments or questions. Commissioner Githens?
I think that the status of the parks and trails that our Parks Department overseas truly add to the quality of life in Monroe County. Just very, very truly. And when we talk about like the chamber or BEDC attracting new businesses and people here, part of the quality of life is the kinds of things that you provide. And I also think that this lighting because of the Wi-Fi, this will enhance what's going on also at the Cars Farm Park and those soccer/rugby/
Cross.
Quidditch/ lacrosse fields.
Quidditch, don't forget Quidditch.
Quidditch?
Yeah.
For sure. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I just want to say that I kind of started my experience with the county in Parks and Rec, and it's taken me a long ways, and I've really enjoyed the journey. And I'm rather excited that I will now be taking over for Commissioner Githens and will be circling back to Parks and Rec.
Well, we welcome you in any meeting you would like to attend. I will keep you apprised.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really incredible work, and I'm glad this is getting done in order to accommodate the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a big deal. We really are in a dead zone there, so this is going to make a big difference in making this place even more attractive for families both in our community and outside our community to come visit. So thank you for your attention to detail. I appreciate it. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Musco Sports Lighting LLC change order number 1, which has been amended to reflect the appropriate fund names, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Item, please.
Move approval of System Navigator Contract Addendum, Fund Name, System Navigator Grant, Fund Number 9160, in an amount of $9,000.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, we have Ms. Turner King joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is a request to extend a contract that the Public Defender's Office currently has. The contract is set to expire at the end of this year. What this provides is the Public Defender's Office has a grant that provides additional services to clients of their office who are involved in CHINs or TPR cases. The grant provides for what's called system navigators to assist those clients in navigating with the multiple service agencies that they have to work with. And as part of the grant, there's a data collection component. So this contract provides for the individual who enters all of the data collected into the state agency's website. It's at the same rate as previously, and it's extended for 1 year currently. It may, the state agency has indicated they may extend it again, but they're just kind of waiting until the end of 2025 to see how much more data they're willing to collect.
Thank you so much. Comments or questions, Commissioner Jones?
Yes, have they done any analysis so far on the effectiveness?
I'm not 100% sure if they what they have done with the data they have collected. I know that the way it has been working is, in essence, the system navigators help half of the Public Defender's Office in the office, so there's a control group, and I don't know if they've analyzed it yet.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Githens?
I hope that this does prove to be beneficial and that all families have access.
Excellent. All right. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the System Navigator Contract Addendum signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Move approval of Proactive Agreement Addendum, Fund Name, Self-Insurance, Fund Number 4700, in an amount of $7,877 per month.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have E joining us.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This is an amendment to our current contract with Proactive, recommending the addition of another support staff member because the clinic is growing. And so if you want me to run through some numbers here for you, if you bear with me, we've had some conversations in prior meetings about data that we received from the previous clinic, and so we've based a lot of our decisions on that. And I am comparing the best data that I could find from the previous administration to what we are currently sitting at. And so in September, we had 187 appointments, and comparing that to September of 2023, which was 143. So there's an increase in that. And then the other numbers I have are from 2022 for the previous clinic data. So in October, we had 233 visits this year compared to 174 in 2022, and 212 in November compared to 164 in 2022. So with the new model that we've talked about in the past, one provider and one support staff member, we are seeing more patients compared to what we were in the previous clinic. And so we are asking for this additional support staff person, which would be either a medical assistant or an LPN, and that person will help us free up some more availability for appointments. And our focus is really the acute visits because that is what is in most demand. Those same day, next day appointments, we are filling those up quickly, and unfortunately having to turn away employees because we are full for the day of appointments.
Thanks for that information. It's interesting to hear that data. I can attest that it's a busy place. Comments or questions, Commissioner Githens?
I think this actually is saving a lot of money as well as improving healthcare. So I fully support this move.
Yeah, I'm just very excited to hear that apparently it's so popular. Are people indicating that they're enjoying or at least feeling good about their experiences there?
You know, I will be perfectly honest. We are going through some growing pains, some transitional pains, but I think a lot of that has to do with they seem to be bursting at the seams over there. And so we are doing the best that we can with what we've got right now. And I think that some of the feedback that we've heard about some of those issues will be relieved by adding another support staff person in there. But overall, the feedback is very positive.
And the support staff person, what kind of position do they actually have?
Currently, we have a medical assistant, and so we would be either opting for another medical assistant or an LPN to fill that new position.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really good news. I appreciate that this will help serve our employees better by having additional support. So that's excellent. Thank you for taking care of it. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the proactive agreement addendum signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. I'll move on to item E, please.
Yes. Move approval of the Fred Pryor Agreement Addendum, Fund Name, County General, Fund Number 1000, in an amount of $134,077.56.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. E for item E.
Yes. So this is essentially an extension of our current contract with Fred Pryor. We just want to keep the same operations for the next 3 years. And so Fred Pryor we utilize that for e-learning, and so we do our required training through that. We're also doing some department-specific content, and then we do a lot of performance-related things as needed or requested by departments as well. Since we've had the addition of Seth in our office, our utilization of the system has increased a lot because he's really vetted a lot of those things and worked with departments to figure out what they need. We've worked with Angie. We're going to do we have some required things that the auditor's office needs to do annually, so we've incorporated that into Fred Pryor. We're going to do a series of about 6 different trainings over the course of every year for all employees to make sure we're meeting some standards for insurance purposes, but also just making sure employees have the opportunity to learn and grow.
Excellent. Comments or questions? Commissioner Jones?
Just that this sounds like it's been very successful, and I'm pleased that we're going to be able to continue it.
Commissioner Githens?
Just sent out 2 more requirements this week.
Yeah.
And I went through them, and neither of them are onerous at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very efficient.
Yeah. I have been assigned as well, but have I done my homework? No. I've been a little busy.
I've got some time. Yeah.
But I will get to it, I promise.
Yeah. I find myself on the did not do list occasionally as well. So.
A little coal in the stocking this year. All right. Excellent. Yeah, thank you for this. I appreciate that we're able to add in things that are unique to Monroe County or to our situation, and that makes it much more valuable. So it's nice.
Yeah, and if I might, they've just been a really great company to work with. The customer service aspect of that, they are very responsive and have just done anything that we've needed. So that's really important for us.
Excellent, excellent. All right, thank you so much. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Fred Pryor Agreement Addendum signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item, please. Drum roll.
I am proud to move that we approve the opioid settlement fund grant memorandums of understandings, fund names, opioid restricted and opioid unrestricted, fund numbers 1237 and 1238 in an amount of $1,010,809.
And I am proud to second that.
We have Ms. Turner King joining us, but we also have, we're going to lean heavily on Commissioner Githens because she was really big pivotal role in the opioid settlement application review committee. So we'll start with Ms. Turner King.
So what's before the commissioners today for consideration and approval is the MOUs for each agency who was approved by, or who's recommended by the opioid review settlement I mess up their name all the time, the board. And so each organization has an MOU. It indicates the amount. The completion time for each individual MOU is specific to that organization, with some ending at the end of 2026 and some ending at the end of 2025. It's just based on their request. And then all the MOUs, it's pretty standard. I used a template for each agency, so it has reporting requirements and a record retention requirement, which requires the agencies to give us an annual report on their grant spending and also maintain their records so that if in the event we needed to ask for them, they would have them. So that's the MOUs, unless you have any questions.
Thank you so much. I will turn it over happily to Commissioner Githens, who's really just been amazing about this. Yes.
Well, this is the Opioid Settlement Application Review Committee that made those recommendations. There were 5 members. We had requests during the second and third quarter last year, or this year rather, for over $1.8 million in funding. Of course, we didn't have that much money sitting in our coffers. Over the course of, I think it's 18 years, the county will have over approximately $5 million, and we got notice yesterday that we'll get a one-time set of funding of a little over $40,000 that'll be in the restricted fund that can be used, but that was not taken, that's not part of what we're recommending for today. This is all money that's staying in our community and to help individuals who are in recovery. And I stressed last night at the council meeting that some of those individuals that are in recovery became addicted because of prescription opioids. And so this is trying to right that wrong. And I'm really pleased that with the settlements that we are using them directly to help the people impacted. When the tobacco settlement came about, I think I've heard recently that less than 5% of that settlement money is actually going toward smoking cessation, helping those things. So I'm really, really pleased that this is directly impacting individuals who are in recovery, people who will be in recovery in the future, and that we're able to support entities that already exist in our community. After we started this committee, I was part of a national, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, a national training, and Johns Hopkins School of Public Health has put together 5 guiding principles for allocating this specific fund. And we were already doing these things before we even knew about what professionals in the field are recommending. We're building on existing communities. We're doing harm reduction. We included people in recovery in the decision-making. We included health professionals in the decision-making. And so I'm very, very pleased to be able to finalize these grants.
Any comments or questions, Commissioner Jones?
Well, I really just want to very much thank Commissioner Githens. This is such an amazing effort that she made for this community, and she really went full out and to a very great extent did it on her own. So thank heavens we had her here to help us with this and make it happen.
I will second that. That was spot on. And there was some discussion at the council meeting last night about, who's on the board and who receives money. And this process has been fully transparent. I don't see any issues of impropriety at all. These are groups in our community who provide life-saving help in various forms and fashions. And I would like if you would read the
list,
please.
Yes, very proud to. Amethyst House, do you want the amounts or? Well, Amethyst House, this is for staffing and for personnel for some of the programming. Avalon Community Land Trust, again, this is for housing. Beacon Inc., this is to help with their new facility, so capital money. Wilmington Cooperative Living, this is again for housing and for staffing, and this is a very unique thing that where people are in recovery living there, but part of the broader community initially. And so this is an experiment, and we're hoping that it works out. The Indiana Recovery Alliance, who are frontline people in harm reduction. Our Monroe Circuit Court, which is doing some data collection and analysis of our specialty courts. New Leaf, New Life for 3 separate MOUs. One of them, as I alluded to earlier, is to provide funding for people to become certified peer recovery coaches, which will allow them to become that recovery community organization so that we can get the IREX program going in our community. Courage to Change Sober Living, again, housing, and funding for Indiana Recovery Alliance for somebody we've just identified by initials JP to again become a certified peer recovery coach.
Excellent. Excellent programs all. All right, let's see if there's any public comment. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. We have Councilor Iverson joining us. Good morning.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Thomas, and good morning to you. I just want to jump on the bandwagon. This is a wonderful opportunity to support our community. I wanted to recognize the leadership of Andre Butler. He was there at the council last night, and he's been quite an asset to this board. I also wanted to point out that we are still taking applications for this board, which you can find on our homepage under important news, and you can find qualification listings as well as the application materials. I also wanted to highlight the fact that Cheryl Munson's legacy is very present in these deliberations. We shamelessly stole her genius through the spreadsheets and some of the qualification deliberations that she had come up with, and we are indebted to her and trying to preserve her legacy, of course. And also, I wanted to point out that your action today in approving these MOUs addresses key reforms that the public has asked for through JFAC and other bodies. And so this is really a great opportunity to do that. And the last thing I wanted to say is a huge thank you to Commissioner Githens. Penny, your leadership in this space is evident. The trust that you've built is just really throughout all of the things that we're doing in this space, whether it's the big annual event or it's the truck named after you, the growth of the IRA, the work that we're doing with New Leaf, New Life. Your leadership has really been apparent here, and this community owes a great debt of gratitude to you for your perseverance in this, and you've really set a high standard as we move forward. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. See if there's any other public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Opioid Settlement Fund Grant Memorandums of Understanding signify by saying aye. Aye. That was an emphatic 3-0 yes. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank the members of the group that worked. Councilmember Iverson, Kathy Hewitt of the Health Department, Max Smith, and Andre Butler from our community. We were able to reach consensus very quickly on what we thought should be supported, the amount. It was an amazing process working with amazing people.
And that is not an easy thing to do when you have limited funds and a lot of need. That is a difficult task, so thank you for that. Okay, so we will go ahead and move on. Thank you, Ms. Turner-King. We'll go ahead and move on to our next item, please.
We have approval of remaining ARPA contracts and plan. Fund name, ARPA fund number 8950. Should I read the separate amounts? They're listed.
Hold off on that because I think there's going to be a
This
few
could be
changes
a
to
change, yeah, okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second, and Mr. Cockrell is going to amaze us with his math skills.
I will do my best. I'm going to give you an updated copy of the plan that, based upon what the council approved last night. And so I will hang.
With the changes that occurred last evening, claims that were submitted and approved today, were they taken?
Yes, we also took into account the one claim that is sitting in pending status and has not been.
And I guess I'll start off with, this is the American Rescue Plan Act, which has a deadline of the end of this year to make sure everything is expended or obligated. And so this is us, and this is our essentially last opportunity to expend or obligate all the ARPA funding, which was $28,830,982. This plan, we have a list of projects. These are all the ones we've done through ARPA from day one till now. It's quite an extensive list. And the bottom line total is that amount. I will point out a few, and these are basically changes from the last one. I believe the Rural Housing Part A restricted, that item was reduced to reflect what our actual agreements and what our actual programs are. The septic program was increased $206,190.01. That's based upon where projects fell short of where we had appropriated, and it just didn't occur. The one addition that I'm aware of to this list is the county financial director. And in this list, it's $46,437.15, and that's was a mechanism we used to make sure we could expend all the ARPA. With that noted, I would say that we have a few agreements, and let me get my computer. And I believe this is the 10th update to that plan. So if it says 9 on the top of yours, it's actually the 10th, which it's a great program, and it was a wonderful thing for the federal government to have done for us. But we will. Some of us will not regret that we have to have everything done by the end of the year.
The administration part has not been so lovely. I get it. I get it. Carly's laughing.
So with this, we have 4 different agreements or changes to agreement. The easiest one, Summit Hill MOU. They had a deadline at the end of this year to provide us some information. We're extending that a year so that they have time, a full and complete picture of what they're doing. I'll talk about is the Airport Board MOU. As you know, we have a drainage project going with that, and there are 2 or 3 different vendors, and the total amount of that project is expected to exceed the ARPA funding by a little bit. And so we wanted to do this MOU so that we didn't have to set with the federal government the exact amounts we're paying to each vendor, so that they would have opportunity to, if one is going to get a little bit more, have to go through a lot of hoops in order to make those changes in the federal system. Convention Center MOU of $844,207.10. That number should remain the same. That is the remaining portion of our ARPA money that we designated for that hasn't been expended. So included in the agreement are some contracts that we have approved, and they're going to manage those things. I will say the one thing I want to make. Convention Center Management Company is a wholly owned subsidiary of Downtown Bloomington, Inc., and Downtown Bloomington, Inc. Tech not-for-profit organization, and so we wanted to make sure that, and the E-Verify is in Downtown Bloomington, Inc.'s name, so we just kind of wanted to make sure you guys were formally at a meeting. The last one is the Health Department MOU. That in this it says $1,190.01 is what the agreement's for. We actually want the contract to be reduced to $1,124,165.01. The difference of that are monies we've already expended and paid on septic project. It's not reducing the amount we're going to spend on the program, just the contract will be with the health department to make sure that all those monies are expended in a timely manner for septic systems, and we want them to manage that program. Federal government does allow intra-agency agreements to do those kinds of things.
So there should actually be maybe 2 lines on this plan. Mm-hmm. Maybe there should be 2 lines, one of the septic contract with the health department, and the other what we've already done, because the amount total is going to be the same.
I don't think we need another line. I think what we're telling the federal government with our plan is we are planning on spending that amount of money for the septic program.
Okay, got it. So I think that's right. So the number, so the total is still the same. Mm-hmm. It's just versus what's been expended already versus what we're contracting for, which is $1,124,165.01. You don't have anything to add, Ms. Woodruff?
She said I didn't miss anything. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you for being here and helping us. All right, let's see if there's any comments or questions from Commissioner Jones.
Just that it's pretty amazing to have gotten here.
Yeah.
And we really have to thank all our staff for the auditor's office, legal. Our staff have all just gone full out to make the most of this money for our entire community. And we really have served the community with this money, which is something that I'm very proud of.
Yeah. Commissioner Githens?
When I look at what other communities have done, nobody else has done things like gun safes, gun locks. Mm-hmm. I'm really proud of the things that we've done for childcare with this. I was out at the groundbreaking Summit Hill project, and the family that they're naming the center after was all there. They were all there. Wow, it's going to be a real addition to that community, that part of our community.
Yeah, I echo both of your sentiments. I would add that we have supported tourism. We've supported food security. We have provided transportation. We have
ambulances that you
the ambulances. Oh, the ambulances. Yes, transportation to the hospital, but buses as well. But getting some infrastructure in there bit by bit, which was great, because we really appreciate the way the highway department has really made those projects. They were great. They turned out wonderful, and the communities, especially folks who live in those neighborhoods, are very, very happy. So paving and drainage, airport stormwater, things that are sort of dull, but you don't have, $28 million sitting around to pay for all of these things. And so this was a once in a lifetime opportunity for this county to really make a statement about what's important. And it is about a resilient county, county infrastructure, but most importantly, community infrastructure, public health. All of these things are reflected here. I mean, septic You're not going to see confetti here, but boy, this is going to make a huge difference. I'm telling all of you, this is a huge investment, and I'm really so proud. We help build homes. You know, we've done so much, and it's been really amazing to work with my colleagues here on this board, but the council, the auditor's office, legal, my gosh, you've had the workload. You're gonna not know what to do with yourself after this. Ms. Purdy, yes. Amazing work. I mean, you've been tracking everything, and that's just been so helpful for us as we continue to have meetings about what's left, where are we at? And so thank you. Really, everyone in the county stepped up in a big way. Mentioned highway, stormwater, everybody stepped up. So this is huge. Really happy to be able to pass this final plan. I do have a question. If there are funds left over, they're going to the septic program? Is that the...
This moves about 200, this is it.
This is it. We're done with that. Okay.
This will move about 206,000
right.
from those other projects into.
Okay, so we're done. We cannot at this point manipulate those numbers anymore.
Not the ARPA numbers.
Right, got it. Perfect. All right, thank you. Okay. Any public comment on this item? You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the remaining ARPA contracts and plan? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I didn't see you.
Hi, Talisha Kopic with the Convention Center Management Company, and I didn't want to pass up this opportunity to say thank you so much. It's made a world of difference, and they're continuing to work through the different projects, work around groups, make sure we're not doing something that the expansion committee would replay, you know, so that they've been really thoughtful projects. I think I don't know, there's like 17 items that have been addressed. And I'll agree with the parks that all the county employees have been great to work with, and the team and the leadership, and really, really appreciate 33 years of support. And Penny, all the best to you. And I know you're still going to be around, and we'll keep, you're so active. And so doors are always open, but happy holidays, everyone. And thank you very much.
Thank you, and same to you. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment before I tip my head and look at the screen? Okay, thank you so much. All right, all those in favor of approving the remaining ARPA contracts and plans signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Security Pro 24/7 agreement, fund names, stormwater, motor vehicle highway, and cumulative bridge. Fund numbers 1197, 1176, and 1135 in an amount varying from $50 to $135 per hour per contract.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. I see we actually have Ms. Tatonia joining us online, but I don't know, Ms. Ridge, if you want to handle this
That's
one.
fine, I can present it.
Thank you.
So the agreement is to hire traffic control and flagging services for the 3 different divisions of the department, highway, bridge crew, and our stormwater crew. We've had a great relationship with this company, and we'd like to continue that into 2025. And we only use the flagging services on an as-needed basis.
Thank you so much. Comments or questions? Commissioner Githens?
I think it's a fabulous way to keep our own employees safe. So I think it's a very good kind of thing to have in place.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, we've seen this rather regularly, and it is an important part of government. So yeah, I support it.
Well, thank you. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Security Pro 24/7 agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the Bledsoe, Riggert, Cooper, and James Inc. agreement. Fund name, stormwater, fund number 1197 in an amount of $40,800.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Please. Ms. Ridge.
So we presented this agreement to the Stormwater Board on 12/11, and it was approved. We also have Stormwater Resolution 2024-1 for the project, and we'll have a public hearing held in that in early 2025. The project is for the services are for surveying and civil engineering for the Redbud Heights Drainage Improvement Project. This is a continuation of the previous drainage improvements that we did a couple years ago that were in our stormwater plan. And it's basically to improve aging infrastructure by replacing a 320-foot concrete pipe with a new storm sewer inlets and pipes.
Thank you so much. Comments or questions? Commissioner Jones?
Yes, it sounds like this was certainly needed, and it's a rather old neighborhood and has probably been needing it for a while. I'm really pleased that we're getting to it.
Commissioner Githens.
I'm fully in support of this, but it's amazing that we have a civil engineering group like BRCJ here in town to work with us, and they're always good about the work that they do with us and for us for our county projects. We've gotten to know several of them over the years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad this project is getting done. It's going to make a big difference to this neighborhood as well. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the Bledsoe Rieger Cooper James Inc. agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Turn the page. Move approval of the 2025 asphalt bids, fund name, motor vehicle highway, fund number 1176, and various amounts.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Ridge.
So when we did the bids in 2023, we also had in the bid documents that we had the opportunity to roll over those bid prices for 2 years. This would be the last year to be able to do that. So we would, EMB's letter is attached stating that they're willing to let us roll over those 2023 prices. And again, with inflation, it's great to be able to have these prices for the third year in a row. In 2026, we'll redo the bid documents and advertise as normal since this will.
That is amazing. Let's go. Good work on that. Wow. Comments or questions? Commissioner Githens.
Great foresight. Thank you.
Yeah. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, just thank you.
All right. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the 2025 asphalt bid signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of Emerald Trace subdivision roads to be added into the county inventory.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Ridge.
So we worked with with our county legal and the HOA in the neighborhood. We had some bond funds left over to finish the project to completion since the developer did not finish the project. So we would like to accept those 2 roads, South Amber Drive Extension and then East Kiley Court and Emerald Trace subdivision to add to our county inventory for future maintenance.
Thank you much. Comments or questions, Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Commissioner Githens?
Appreciated seeing that what the total county mileage now is that we're covering. It's over 707 miles.
If anybody ever asks why planning requires bonds for developers, why we're going with an inflation-based rate, this is the answer. It is very expensive to complete work when a developer fails to do so. And I'm just grateful. I know that neighborhood is very grateful for your hard work on making this happen, Lisa. So thank you so much. All right, let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of the Emerald Trace subdivision roads to be added into county inventory signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of ordinance 2024-63, amending Scrivener's error in ordinance 2024-60, amending traffic ordinances 8606 and 8609.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Ridge.
After reaching out to the legal department, it was advised that we bring this back just to correct this error. It's just changing the school zone that you approved last week to the 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. school days versus the Monday through Friday.
Great. All right. Comments or questions, Commissioner Githens?
No, thanks.
Commissioner Jones? No, I don't. Yeah, this makes sense, so thank you for that. All right. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving ordinance 2024-63 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the 2025 Community Action Television Services, known as CATS, fund name, cable franchise, fund number 2502, in an amount of $78,241.75.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and because Ms. Purdy was clearing her throat, I know she's going to handle this one.
Yes. Yeah, this is mine. So this is just part of our longstanding history and collaboration with our local CATS provider. And the amount requested is been approved by the county council and is in the next year's budget. And so we just ask for you to approve this so we can continue our relationship.
Comments or questions, Commissioner Githens?
I'm pleased that we have this kind of facility available to us, especially now that the state legislature has mandated certain things in terms of recording meetings.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I think CATS makes our local government much, much more accessible. They should televise many more meetings than they're actually required to. And I know that there are many people in the community who really appreciate being able to so easily keep track of what's going on.
Yeah. Applaud CATS, the staff, leadership, and they're here at our meetings. Thank you, CATS. They do cover so many events in the community. We had our health summit and at the Boys and Girls Club at Crestmont, and they came and recorded for us, which we really appreciated. And that's just the kind of things that they do so that the community can remain in touch and we can be transparent in our. So excellent work and thank you. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the 2025 Community Access Television Services contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the interlocal with City of Bloomington regarding Building Code Authority extension.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Yeah, Ms. Birdie.
So the current interlocal that we have is scheduled to terminate at the end of this year, and staff had reached out and expressed an interest in making some modifications to the document to more accurately reflect current processes. And so we actually met with the City of Bloomington staff, and both entities have agreed to just extend this so that we have an agreement going into the new year for 6 months, which gives us time to work out the differences that we have in the current proposed interlocal agreement.
Great. Thank you so much. Comments or questions, Commissioner Githens?
Glad you were able to come up with some kind of interim extension.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, it sounds like this is a good way to do it.
I appreciate the work in our building department, Mr. LaRue and his staff, for all their hard work and keeping us all safe, because these are buildings we live in and work in and visit, and it makes a big difference to do it right, and they do it right. So appreciate your hard work on that. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the interlocal with City of Bloomington regarding Building Code Authority, and this is an extension, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Move approval of the appointment of new Monroe County Health Officer.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. I guess Ms. Purdy.
So our current health officer has elected to end his term as of December 31st. And this appointment allows, formally appoints Ms. Or Dr. I should say, Sarah Ryderband to the new as the new health officer beginning January 1st, 2025. And that term will go through January 1st of 2029.
Thank you so much. Comments or questions, Commissioner Githens?
I applaud the hiring of Dr. Ryderband. We're very pleased to have you on board.
Jones?
Yes, this is definitely a positive move for the county.
And Dr. Ryderband has also served on the health board for many years, and so she understands this, I think, at a very organic level. She's lived this.
Yes, absolutely. And I do think, I can't call you Dr. Ryder. Sarah, I got to thank you for doing this. Honestly, your work in the community extends far beyond what we see here. And I'm really grateful that the health board made such a good decision. And I appreciate your willingness to serve the community in this way. And I know it's not an easy thing, but it's a vital thing. So thank you.
Good morning, commissioners. And I will say all three of my friends, you appointed me 2 years ago to sit on the health board. And when my fellow board members asked if I would step up into this new role, I thought about it long and hard and considered what I could do to serve the community in bigger and better ways as the health officer for Monroe County. And so a week ago, my fellow board members unanimously and enthusiastically appointed me as their new health officer, and I'm here before you to confirm that and to ask you to bestow your blessing on that. And that's what I've heard, and I am very grateful. I'm grateful to the three of you for your service, and particularly you, Penny. You have been so amazing as a commissioner. You are so thoughtful. You are always present. You have done your homework. You are so detail-oriented and loving in your process. So thank you so much for your service to our community. We don't deserve you. And thank you, commissioners, for your agreement to this arrangement.
Thank you so much. All right, let's see if there's any public comments on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the appointment of the new Monroe County Health Officer, Dr. Sarah Ryderband, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
I have to say, I'm a numbers person, Sarah. That's where the things come from. We laugh about that, but that's, yeah. Yeah. Okay, next item is move approval of the health officer employment contract, fund name, health, fund number 1159, in an amount of $48,800.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second, and we have Ms. King joining us.
Good morning again. In anticipation of the appointment of a new health officer, I drafted a health officer employment contract. It's similar to the same contract of our prior health department or health officer. The amount is $43,800. The term goes into effect from the date of appointment and lasts for 4 years with the eligibility for reappointment. I provided this contract for review to Dr. Ryderban last week. And she had made a couple changes, but they're reflected in the document, and then it will be considered by the health board at their next meeting.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to amend the amount to $43,800.
Second. I accept it.
Okay. All those in favor of amending the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0 to amend the motion. Okay, so let's go to comments, questions. Commissioner Githens. Commissioner Jones?
Nope.
All right. I don't have any questions either. I appreciate the hard work on this. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. You can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium in Nat U Hill. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the health officer employment contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you so much. All right, we have one more item to get through.
Yes.
All right.
Move approval of ordinance 2024-62, the Sunset Hill Historic Preservation Overlay Rezone.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Myers.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. This is ordinance 2024-62, also known as REZ-247. It's the Sunset Hill Historic Preservation Overlay Rezone. There are 25 parcels involved in this rezone for the Historic Preservation Overlay, totaling 13.54 acres. It's in Perry Township, Section 6. The addresses are listed on the screen here, as well as their parcel numbers, as well as all of the owners that are represented by these properties, with the lead petitioner being Susan Brackney, who I believe may be in attendance in person this morning and will be providing a presentation and that I have slides for during her time. All these parcels are zoned either RS 3.5, RS 3.5/Pro 6, or RM 15 under the current county zoning ordinance with Chapter 833. So the request is to establish the historic preservation overlay on multiple properties within the Sunset Hill neighborhood as outlined in the report. The petitioner is requesting the overlay at these locations in order to provide protection and preservation of the existing structures and following criteria from Chapter 810-3. And those criteria are: number one, in association with the events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of county history. Number two, in association with the lives of persons significant in the county's past. Number six, an example of a significant and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinction. And all three of those criteria were also reviewed by the Historic Preservation Board of Review, and they are in consensus with those criteria applying for this rezone application. A little bit of background. The Indiana Historic Sites and Structures Inventory, or IHSSI County Survey for Monroe County, is made available through the State Historic, Architectural, and Archaeological Research Database, also known as SHARD. Within that database, there are 11 of the 25 petition sites, I should say 25, apologies, as containing a contributing resource. The C rating is given to any properties meeting the basic inventory criterion of being pre-1940, and such resources are important to the density or continuity of the area's historic fabric. Contributing properties can be listed on the National Register of Historic Places if they are part of an historic district, but typically they do not usually qualify individually for the National Register. On the screen now, I have some definitions from the zoning ordinance in Chapter 810, including Historic Preservation Overlay District, which breaks it down into primary and secondary areas. Also, the definition of historic district and the definitions of primary area and secondary area. Now, the petitioner is not required to show primary or secondary areas within a historic preservation overlay request. or within the defined historic district boundary. The boundary itself does not have to be contiguous, and therefore it is showing as several historic districts being created under this one rezone, being the pattern here of separate parcels all under one request. It should be noted that areas outside of the historic district, that is the properties that are not involved in this request, do not qualify as primary or secondary areas unless a new rezone petition is brought forward showing these outside areas included in the historic district or the historic preservation overlay. In other words, primary and secondary areas are only within a defined historic district, also known as historic preservation overlay boundary. And I want to make that distinction very clear in my presentation because there have been some neighbor comments and concerns through the time period of this petition where members were concerned that being next to a district meant that they would be encapsulated over time automatically, or that there would be other restrictions being on their own property being next to a designated property. And it is the Chapter 810 only applies to properties with the historic preservation overlay. There is not a sort of buffer area, if you will, or any additional protections next to a designated property. Only the designated properties get the protections, benefits, and the certificate of appropriateness process under the HP overlay. Okay, so Chapter 810-3, this is the HP overlay criteria that the Historic Preservation Board of Review looks at when determining their support for a petition for the HP overlay. The numbers bolded are the three that I've already mentioned. And that's the association with events made that have made a significant contribution in broad patterns of county history, association with the lives of persons significant in the county's past, and an example of a historic and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinction. Chapter 810-7, the certificate of appropriateness. This is a requirement under the historic preservation overlay that does provide a permitting process that gets reviewed by the Historic Preservation Board when there are certain activities occurring on the property. And this is in an effort to preserve the historic character and historic nature of the resources that are located on those properties. But in addition to the certificate of appropriateness comes the benefits of historic preservation, which includes flexibility in zoning uses as well as some protections as well. On the screen now is a background and discussion of the locations and the a tabulation of all the properties involved. What I want to draw your attention to initially is that the red striped properties, they were initially part of the petition, and that would have totaled 28 parcels. However, through the process of this petition, those particular property owners reached out to the planning department for more information and had questions about the historic preservation overlay, and ultimately decided to withdraw themselves from the petition. So those are removed. They are indicated with the black X's as well on the screen on the map side. And then on the tabulation as well, you'll see white and pink colors. The pink references those properties that do have a contributing resource as identified by the SHARD database. And those are also shown on the map side as those parcels that are outlined in blue. There are a few properties that have multiple resources on them. You'll notice that the number of pink property addresses do not specifically coincide with the number of parcels. Also, a caveat to the SHARD database is it's not entirely comprehensive. It was a survey that was done by the state offices that and one of its limitations is that the resources that they documented were only visible from the road. So they did not go, down certain side roads all the way, or could not get into backyards, things like that. So it is possible that some historic resources elsewhere throughout this neighborhood unit did not get located by the SHARD database and could be present in this area. Okay, so here we have the current zoning map on the left and the comprehensive plan on the right, which is the Makua mixed residential. And then here on the screen, I have the letter, the initial letter from the lead petitioner, Susan Brackney, detailing the properties that were originally part of the request, as well as a breakdown of the rationale to the historic preservation overlay, including relationships with significant persons to the county's history, including Shaw, Rogers, and Mitchell. And then also the broad patterns of county history, working class village as a vestige of Monroe County manufacturing. And finally, distinctive characteristics of a period, which involves the use of supplemental farms throughout the Sunset Hill neighborhood. As I mentioned, there were some concerns from property owners in the area. So there are some letters of opposition that are on the screen. These are all included in the packet as well. Some of their concerns were concerns for the impact of their own properties, as I briefly mentioned, being next to a historic preservation district, as well as concern for the neighbors that have elected to go into this rezone petition, sharing concern that they don't fully understand all of the details of the historic preservation overlay. It's the planning department's understanding, with speaking with Ms. Brackney, that each of the petitioners that signed the consent form to be part of this preservation overlay are in full knowledge of all the details of Chapter 810, that they've been shared Chapter 810, and that they've had the opportunity to come to the planning department office and ask questions and or attend any of the historic preservation board meetings where this petition was heard. So I'm just going to keep scrolling through these letters. Again, these are all in the packet. And then finally here, I included on the screen the letters of withdrawal from those 3 properties that I mentioned previously. Okay, that brings me to the recommendations. On August 19th, 2024, the Monroe County Historic Preservation Board voted 7-0 to forward this petition to the Plan Commission with a positive recommendation citing 3 criteria, number 1, 2, and 6. And then on November 19th, the Monroe County Plan Commission voted 5-0 to 1 to forward this petition to the Board of Commissioners with a positive recommendation citing the same criteria of Chapter 810-3. I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Myers. Mr. Myers and I walked this neighborhood, God, was that 18 months ago? It seemed like a long time ago. I don't think it was last summer. I think it was the summer before. But yes, so there are some amazing structures, amazing structures. Let's see, my colleagues have questions. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, I actually lived in this neighborhood, I think, about 45 years ago, a long time ago. And it is a really nice, pleasant place that should be allowed to remain what it is.
Commissioner Githens?
I appreciate the kind of small farm things that they
Yeah,
talk
the honey
about and
farms.
things like that too. And as part of Ms. Brackney's letter, it indicates that this is the site of the last operating feed mill in Monroe County. And even though it's not part of this petition, that building is still standing. So, cool. And some of the architecture is just, I don't want to call it quaint, but it doesn't look like some of the modern things that are thrown up.
Yeah, some really beautiful houses. And, there are some restrictions when you join an overlay district, but there are also a lot of benefits because you can do more things with your property. And you are also eligible for some grant funding and assistance to remodel, repair these structures because it's important to maintain them. So there are benefits and there are restrictions, and that's how that works. Ms. Brackney is here as our petitioner, or lead petitioner, as we say. You have 15 minutes to present your information to us. Once we hear from the public, you will have another 5 minutes to rebut anything you've heard. So please, come to the podium.
You hear me? Okay. Thanks very much for the opportunity to present. Boy, I really can clear out a room, can't I?
I think it's our long meeting, not you.
So, my name is Susan Brackney. I'm a Monroe County resident and property owner. First, I want to thank Drew Myers. You helped set me straight on the nuances of historic preservation, the ordinance, and generally you have had the patience of Job. So thank you. So let's go on to slide 2. I don't know who's in charge of this. Okay. These are some of the resources that I've used as I researched the Sunset Hill area. What I determined is that Sunset Hill is a well-preserved example of a Depression-era working-class village. It is rooted in the local aggregate limestone, crushed limestone trade, as well as local enterprises, including Showers Brothers Furniture Factory, Johnson's Creamery, and RCA, among others. The area is indelibly marked by well-known Monroe County residents, including Ralph Rogers, Charles Gilbert Shaw, and Harley and Ben Mitchell and family. Okay, slide 3, please. Here we go. This is kind of how it looks from above. Sunset Hill encompasses South Corey Lane, West Piper Lane, South Anna Lee, portion of Bloomfield Road. Many homes in our area are already listed in the Indiana Historic Sites and Structures Inventory, as Drew mentioned. Incidentally, the state body recently determined that Sunset Hill meets the criteria for inclusion in both the state and national registers. That doesn't mean that we're automatically in, it just means that I get to do a bunch more work to try to apply and see if we can make that happen. So let's go on to slide 4, please. Those purple dots, by the way, are some of those places that are listed in the SHARD database. Those are not all on my application, just to give you an idea of what's there. Okay, now then. So Sunset Hill comprises seminary lots 179, 180, 185, and 186. And there is a map right under that from 1920 that shows where Bloomington Crushed Stone was located, just a hop, skip away. Let's go to slide 5. This one's really important. It's a timeline of events, local and national, that coincide with things that were happening in the neighborhood. It connects Sunset Hill and its residents very specifically to the broader patterns of history. We see, for instance, that Ralph Rogers opened his first commercial endeavor, Bloomington Crushed Stone Company, in the early 1920s. It was located near Sunset Hill on Adams between 2nd and 3rd. We also see the Great Depression and the federal government's establishment of WPA in 1935. Between 1935 and 1943, the WPA employed 8.5 million people, some of whom were WPA road workers living in Sunset Hill. During that same period, a lot of the Sunset Hill residents would have been growing much of their own food and raising livestock. Hence, you also then have Mr. Mitchell opening the feed mill right around that same time to serve those residents. And incidentally, Bloomfield Road kind of marks where the old fairgrounds were. So it makes sense when you see it in that way. Why would that be there? Well, that's why that was there. And why were all these people farming and having livestock? Well, because it was an intentionally an intentionally laid out community, as I'll show you. Let's go on to slide 6. We'll talk about some of these people. So Sunset Hill was started by Charles Gilbert Shaw. He was one of the county's most prolific and well-known photographers. I liken him to the Ken Nunn of today. He advertised like the Dickens, and everyone knew who he was. And so he went ahead and parceled that stuff out, named it Sunset Hill. So named, by the way, because you could see it from here, the courthouse. You could look, and there it was. And so they called it Sunset Hill. Presumably out west, the sun set on it. I don't know. But he also named some of the streets after his daughter and I think his wife. So let's see. So subsequent individual buyers then bought up those parcels and developed them. I was able to find all that deed info except for number 7, which was a bit of a problem. And we'll find out why here. How am I doing on time? Okay. So slide 8. No, slide 7, sorry. So repudiation of racially restrictive covenant. Lot 7 had a racially restricted covenant on it. I was really unhappy about this. I'm on Lot 7, so are 2 of my other neighbors. We owe Devin Blankenship and Jason Funk and the Monroe County Recorder's Office a debt of gratitude because, they have put in a wonderful online tool so that any resident who wants to see if this yucky stuff is on your property, and you can do something about it. I'm proud to say that I and my 2 other neighbors did follow the process and did plant a flag that's going to be there long after we're dead that says, this is egregious, we disagree, and we repudiate it. So we did that. So thanks, guys. Let's go on to the next one. And Lot 7 was the only lot that had that. I don't even know who put it on. So slide 8. Okay. Ralph Rogers, obviously very significant person in our local and national history. He employed a lot of residents from the area, and we know this because I looked it up in the U.S. Census data. Not only did he, touch the Monroe County Airport, Bloomington Hospital, Memorial Stadium, but he also did work on national highways too. So let's go to slide 9. So this is some census data that I examined, 1940 and 1950, to look at employment histories. 33% of men living in Sunset Hill in 1940 did stonework or related street construction. And in 1940, 11% of men in Sunset Hill held down WPA jobs. Also in 1940, of all the working residents in Sunset Hill, 14% were women. They were typists and cooks and maids and that kind of thing. But in 1950, the percentage of Sunset Hill's working women had more than doubled. And of this group, 44% worked at RCA. And the reason being, according to an old article from the Chamber of Commerce, Indiana Chamber, they liked hiring young women because they were thought to be, quote, more receptive to repetitive assembly line work, and their smaller hands were better suited to pickup and placement of small parts that went into making radios. So that's interesting. Let's go on to slide 10. Another important person associated with Sunset Hill was Mr. Mitchell. He operated the county's last operating feed mill. It was the Sunset Hill Feed Company. And they also owned and built multiple properties throughout our neighborhood. Slide 11, please. Besides the age and architectural styles of many of our structures, there is a vernacular landscape that should be considered. There's up there, you see an old ad, a few acre farms in the Sunset Hill addition left. Get busy if you want one. I love that. So what you see here is the houses are small, the lots are comparatively large. The way the small houses were originally laid out enabled, and the fact that there's sort of a back 40 for each house. It was neither accidental nor coincidental. It is an intentional relationship which enabled Sunset Hill's original working class residents, frankly, as well as many of its current ones, to farm, incidentally or supplementally. So you see the way that the mature trees are positioned. They're kind of used as air conditioning and property markers, and it's a special place. Go on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So these are interesting, black rectangles. The entire area was and still is rural and agricultural in look and feel. I took this photo at around 10 o'clock in the summertime. As you can see, we have bona fide darkness. Isn't that neat? You can see the stars. I suspect this is very much like the place looked back in the 1920s. Slide 13, please. What you're about to see on this next slide is an example of some of the homes that are represented. These are not all of the homes on the application, but the lion's share of them were built in the 1920s and 30s. A smaller number of them date back to the 40s and 50s. We have mostly California bungalows, four square, some really teeny tiny homes. Those little teeny tiny ones are all in a row, and I believe Mr. Mitchell built those, which is kind of neat. You can go on to the next slide. There are loads of additional small-scale elements that work together to lend cultural and historic significance to this rural historic landscape. There's old barns and outbuildings, mature trees, limestone walls, rows of rural mailboxes, clotheslines that are still in use. And then the last slide, let's see, to conclude, Sunset Hill still represents some of the broader patterns of Monroe County history, including its farming, culture, limestone heritage, and manufacturing roots. So thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. If you'd stay for a moment and see if my colleagues have questions for you.
Sure.
Commissioner Jones, comments or questions?
Actually, I don't have any questions. I will comment that that was a very enjoyable presentation. And I was trying to remember, do you happen to be aware of whether the Mitchell feed or the Sunset feed mill, did that eventually evolve into Wayne Feed, which was right in that area?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Right now, it's the Sunset Hill Fence Company.
Okay.
And it's pretty much just like it was. It's just kind of frozen like Han Solo, you know? Unfortunately, not part of this application.
Yeah, I was trying to remember exactly where Wayne Feed was, and it was in that area.
Yeah. Commissioner Githens?
I wanted to applaud at the end of your presentation. I mean, that was amazing, and all the deep work you did, the references, wow, that's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, title research, census records, newspaper archives, history. It's amazing. So
well,
thank
I've been
you for-
working on this for about a year.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go on to just rest.
Yeah, I imagine so. And I do want to thank you for taking the role of lead petitioner, but for all the petitioners who have decided to do this. This is a gift to the community, and it is a gift to the community that will be here forever, and that is big. So thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's see if there are Any members of the public who wish to comment, you can raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. First, we'll hear from supporters. If you could raise your hand or come to the podium if you support this petition. Any remonstrators to this petition, please raise your hand on Teams or come to the podium. Seeing neither, Ms. Brackney, you actually have 5 minutes. If you'd like to add anything else, you can, no, okay, thank you. Any further comments from my colleagues, Commissioner Githens?
Thank you for all the work, Ms. Brackney.
Commissioner Jones?
Calling this a gift to the community is very accurate. It is a pretty special thing.
Yeah, and I know it took a lot of work. And I appreciate that. And Mr. Myers, I know you worked really hard on this as well, because, you know, the historic overlay is not something most people are aware of. So great work on that. All right, with that, are we ready to call the question? All right. All those in favor of approving ordinance 2024-62 signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. So, we don't have any appointments today, but I will take a moment to remind everyone that we are going to have to make a lot of appointments in 2025. And to consider board and commission work, if you haven't done so yet, please give your talents and your time and your experience to this community, because we do need you. And so you can go to co.monroe.in.us and find out more about our boards and commissions, and you can apply online for consideration in 2025. I do want to announce that based on the Plan Commission meeting on Monday night, that we will be holding a public meeting tonight regarding the county development ordinance beginning at 5:30 right here in the Nat U Hill meeting room. You can join via Teams or come in person. We will be accepting public comment again for the 17th time. We are still hosting a Hoosier Hills Food Bank food donation barrel in the rotunda of the courthouse. So please bring in your non-perishable food items, please no glass, at your earliest convenience. It will be here through the end of the year, which is quickly approaching. We do have office hours, virtual office hours via Teams each month. And just go to the calendar at co.monroe.in.us to look for dates and times. And while you're there, click on the megaphone and join the resident alert system. You will be notified of any issues relating to weather, roads, health, whatever it may be. The next blood drive will be held at Ivy Tech, Shreve Hall. This is something we do in conjunction with Ivy Tech and the Red Cross. Wednesday, January 8th, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, January 9th, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Our next meeting is going to be in 2025. And I do want to give Commissioner Githens a moment, or however long you need. I'm sorry, not limiting you. I would like to give you the space and opportunity to share your thoughts at the last Commissioners meeting.
Well, I was remiss in not acknowledging the work of Molly Turner King and people in the auditor's office, specifically Bree and Carly, for their help with the opioid settlement application review group. They were very tireless as well in making sure that we did it right. But it's been such an honor to serve with the two of you. I'm going to get emotional, I know this.
Me too.
I feel like we've worked very well. It didn't matter if we agreed on every point, but we continued to move forward on everything, and it never stopped. The trust never stopped, and it's been amazing, an amazing part of my life. We've also had great staff, whether it's the legal department, our own staff, all the department heads. You've been amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm also very proud of what we've accomplished. We got through a pandemic together, and we did very, very innovative things to keep our community healthy, to support businesses, keep them going, so that when we came through this, I'm not sure we've still come through the pandemic, those businesses were still in existence. Jobs still existed. People still had their incomes. And that's a very big thing. We finally found a location for a jail site and a justice center. It took a lot. It took a lot of work. It took travel on our part, visiting different locations, working with the sheriff and the sheriff's department, working with our county council colleagues. But it got done, and I think it's, as Mr. Parker said earlier, this was the best place by far of anything, and was supported by other people that we know of. I'm very proud of introducing the IREX program to our community. I hope that next year sometime it will be in place. I hope I've done sufficient handoff to make that possible, and with the work we did earlier today, I think that that'll happen. We expanded the Monroe Fire Protection District. We added Van Buren, Benton, and Washington townships. We used food and beverage tax money creatively, and one of the things I would hope to continue to work with you on, if I'm in a position to do it, is to use some of that food and beverage tax money that's been accumulating to, do something with the property that we have designated as quarry land. I think that'll be amazing addition to our community. We've also gotten an agreement with the city. We put a CIB in place and an MOU to convention center. That was something that was started in, I don't know, 2018, 2019. It got halted, but we brought it back. And so hopefully they're looking at a 2026 completion date, and that'll be amazing to see, absolutely amazing. We've been making sure, as you said earlier, in our ARPA funding, that we kept people fed, whether it was support for actual food with Pantry 279 or Hoosier Hills Food Bank, but also generators for Hoosier Hills Food Bank, for a truck. But we've done little things too. I was telling State Senator Shelley Yoder yesterday that we took some surplus vehicles. One we gave to New Hope for Families to provide a small bus, and we provided a truck to HealthNet for their street outreach program. We'll have artificial turf out at Cars Farm Park, which is a big deal, along with the Wi-Fi that we talked about earlier today. We've helped Beacon, and we were the first government entity to supply money. And again, that was with the support and help of our county council colleagues. We brought a new home to the Indiana Recovery Alliance through grant money and through the use of some of our opioid settlement money. We've improved childcare, I hope, and provided additional childcare opportunities. Some of that is not done yet, but it will be there soon. And I think that the new Reverend Dr. Marvin Chandler Early Learning Center will be a real plus to the Summit Hill area. It looks amazing, all that I've seen. The ambulances that we talked about earlier, I recently read an article in the paper about one of those ambulances was called into use. It's needed. It's needed in our community, and that was an amazing thing. This evening, hopefully, we'll get the CDO completed. That's been years again in the making. And I think one of the things I'm proudest of is helping to champion the paid family leave time for our county. That's huge for our employees. It also, I think, is important as we look to recruit new people. And so I want to thank the folks that worked with that. Angie worked on that, East Hensenstein, Seth Elger, Molly Turner King. It's an amazing, amazing addition that happened. This isn't everything that we've done, but I hope it highlights some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in the last 5.5 years. It's been an amazing journey. Again, thank you. We have. Last night when people were talking about Cheryl Munson, I think it was Jennifer Crossley who said that Cheryl viewed them as her council daughters. You are my commission sisters, for sure. So I think that's enough. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones, did you want to add anything? I know.
Yes, I just, getting to work with you has been a really special thing. And well, among all the things that you mentioned, what you didn't mention is you're an amazing ability with numbers. I was struck by that almost immediately. You just looked at numbers and saw all kinds of things that really kind of passed me by. And that's been a very valuable quality for us, but so many others. Your energy and your enthusiasm, and it's just going to be really hard to adjust county government without you.
It will. I had to write mine down because I'm going to get all teary-eyed and a clear sentence. So I can say so many things about you. Yes, so many things came to mind when I thought about this. I am grateful for your keen mind and your sharp wit. You, so many laughs. Yes, thank you. And the way you lead with your heart and your head together is unique and so vital for our community. And I know this job can be so demanding of time and energy, but you gave both freely, which is not easy to do. You made things work, you put other things, your other interests aside, and you really put the county first. And we all know that, and we all felt that, and the employees all felt that too. I appreciate your attention to detail on every single claim, every single contract. You made me laugh when I didn't think I could in the midst of a bad situation, and you ask the best questions. The best questions come out of Penny. You really are a true leader, and you inspire me, and you inspire everyone around you to focus on the task at hand and embrace the beauty of forward progress and momentum, getting things done. There's a beauty in that, and you've highlighted. And you brought excellence to work every day in Monroe County. Excellence. You helped us get through COVID, that darn pandemic. And you're only in office less than a year at the time, and it's, trial by fire. You have dedicated yourself, even outside of county government, but in county government, to bettering the lives of people in the community who are most in need. And we are all the better for it. You've been a passionate advocate for food security, the reduction of gun violence, the support for those people in recovery. That's just glossing over the surface of all that you've done. And I know you're going to continue to do great things in our community. I know that because that's who you are. And I want to thank you for your service, for your ability and to bring your sharp intellect and your beautiful heart together in your public service, and everything you've done for us as a county commissioner and as a member of this community. Thank you. I'm going to miss having you here so much, sister.
Can I say something?
Please.
So we're all going to miss you terribly, but I want to point out that you have been a part of our county government that dealt with some of the most difficult and contested issues. And you did it professionally, and you did it so well. And I'm honored to have been part of this group. But I mean, you guys, as a group, you dealt with making the decision that nobody ever wanted to make about having to have a new jail facility. And you grabbed it and you grabbed it by the horns, and you took up of heat and hate. Stood up, and you kept your shoulders up, and you kept going forward. And I know that Penny took a lot of heat on that, and I'm so proud of you. I tried to call you friend, but you need to you all need to recognize all of the difficult decisions that this group has accomplished. I don't know that boards before you, and I'm not entirely sure that boards after you are going to have to deal with the same issues that you did and did so well. So, thank you.
And I go have my own cry now.
Yeah, we're going to go open another box of Kleenex. And while we do that, do we have a work session? We don't have a work session. I hope not. All right, no work session, which means thank you, everyone. Thank you, Cass. Thank you, TSD, for all you do every day. And thank you to everyone in the county. Happy holidays to everyone, however you celebrate them. Be safe, have fun, and we will be back in 2025 on Thursday mornings. Same channel, new time. Thanks, everyone. Yes, yep. So we are adjourned. Thank you.